Are there any visitors amongst us? Maybe I see them raising of their hands. What does the church say? Amen. I'm here to introduce those who are taking part up front here. Here for our little daughters, Lydia and Lita, who are our choristers of the day. The one who gave us the first prayer is Ma Ariva Rai. The one who's going to give us the last prayer is our elder Homela. The one who is the interpreter is our Pastor Sambisi. The one who's going to give us the word of prayer of life is our elder Ndiweni. He is not alone. He is moving with his brother, his son, who is taller than him. Amen. I want to say that the prayer request should come with the offering. If not, when we are coming out, give to the deacons. I want to say to Elder Ndiweni, we invited you last year. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to come. But luckily, this year we managed to acquire it. In America, there was a pastor who was preaching. The congregation was saying amen and amen. He was saying those who are not paying people well, they are not going to heaven. And the congregation was standing up and saying, and he's changed. He changes. And he said, even those who are stealing the spoons and the shovels, they are not going to heaven. And the people say, no, don't talk about the cabbage that we are stealing. Lead the way. So I'm saying to you, if God help you, preach about the cabbage and the spoon that you are stealing, so that we go to heaven. Greetings, church.
Amen.
Greetings, church.
I hope I find you well.
Take care of this.
May I start by talking to our little ones? I did not prepare something for the little ones, but every time I have a chance, I want to talk to my little ones. Particularly those who are at school. Let me see those who are at school. Right from primary up to university level. Yes, my son is also in university. I want to talk to you. How many of you have failed in school? The answer are very few. I'm one of those who failed the school. I'm one of those who failed the school. When I was at primary school, we used to write at the end of the year, at the end of the term, sorry. And we used to be given position 1 up to around. And they will call everyone during assembly. And they will be announcing so and so position 1. So and so position 2. So and so position 3. And then those 3 they will be given prizes.
Position 1, 2, 3.
I want to confess I never received the prize myself. For those 3 positions. And then after that they will just announce, say number 1 up to 10. I was not among those. I failed several times. But guess what? I am a teacher by now. Teaching the very students. So I clearly identify with you guys. Don't give up when you fail. Do not give up when you fail. There is one guy who failed several times. I'm sure those who are doing science in primary school, they know. A man who failed more than 10,000 times. Not 1 or 2. 10,000 times.
10,000.
And this man is called what? Who? What is his name? Thomas Edison. And when he was being interviewed, he actually said, I have found 10,000 ways that do not work. If it was you who would have failed 10,000 times, you would give up and say, enough is enough. I can't do it. Can I read a quotation for one of the guys who also failed? I hope I'll get this quotation. I want to give hope to those who are failing regularly. That do not give up. This guy is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is well known for what? Basketball. This is what he says. I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. 9,000 shots. I have lost more than 300 games. 26 times I have been entrusted to take the winning shot. And guess what? I missed. 26 times given the winning shots. 26. I have failed over and over again in my life. I like the last part. This is what he says. And that is why I am successful. The reason why he was successful is because he failed so many times. So may I suggest to you guys who are still at school, whether university or primary or secondary, fail often. But when you fail, fail forward. Did you hear what I said? If you are to fail, don't fail backwards. Fail forward. What do I mean by failing forward? When you are failing forward, you learn from your mistakes and still move on. This is the reason why Paul says, I forget about those things that I've done. I press on towards the mark. Young people, press on towards the mark. Fail and faith often. But when you fail forward. I am that kind of a preacher who preaches using testimonies. My elder is here. Maybe I don't know whether you invite me again. I talk about my own personal testimonies and other things that I see happening in other people, and how God has saved me and saved other people. I talk about my testimonies. I remember my first testimony is I got a stand when I was still in Zimbabwe. So I built that stand. It was in the villages. Because I like rural life. So I built, I put a fence around. Built my first round house, round hut. I dug this pit-like toilet. Then I asked someone to construct building blocks. I mean bricks. That person constructed about 2,000 bricks because I wanted to build a big house. I left my wife in Zim. I came to Botswana. If time allows, I'll also tell you about my testimony coming here. Because I believe my testimony will strengthen somebody. Somebody is on the edge of giving up. And it is my testimony that is going to bring strength to you. My wife followed again after a year or so. And then when school, I'm a teacher by profession, by the way. Every holiday I go to Zimbabwe. So we decided with my wife, I was actually driving a pickup by then. We bought the building material here in Botswana to go and build the 5-roomed house. When I got there, this tent was near a church, this member of church. It was just next, they were next to each other, these tents. So it was, I had to go to this family's home first before I go to my stand. Because apparently they are the ones who gave me the stand. So, you know, when there's something fishy, you can actually tell from people's faces. The way they were greeting me, I could tell that there was something wrong. And meanwhile, when I tried to keep in my stand, there was smoke that was coming from the kitchen. And I was wondering, who is this one now who's now taking my stand? And then after dilly-dallying, they called me. I said, Mr. Ndiweni, we are sorry. Your stand was taken by another nephew of ours who used to live in Victoria Falls. We are very sorry, sir. I said, what are you saying? Sorry, what are you saying? They repeated. And it didn't change anything. I think that's the time when I started having duty. Because from there, I don't understand. I didn't know which part of the body was painful. Whether it was the back or the head. But to cut the long story short, I had bought, actually, I also bought cake. Goats. But they were very few. I'm telling you, I sold all those things while standing like that. Selling them for a song. selling them for a song. I didn't take anything from the house from the house. I sold the bricks. I sold the cake. Some of them are just giving out. And I left. I was so devastated. I was just thinking to say, at my age, without a home. No, a home is very special to me. Where am I going to start? I drove back to Bulawayo. Down, I was very, very devastated. I didn't know whether I should die. When I went back to Bulawayo, I went to this place where they were the Minister of Land. Over distributing land. I went to their offices. I said, I want a stand for building a home. They said, no, there's a counter book there. You can write your name there. When I opened the book, I found thousands and thousands of names of people who were on the waiting list. I wrote my name. I sat down. They said, no, you are done, you can go. We will call you. I said, I'm not going anywhere. Here, I want a piece of land. I know them sit there. They started attending people. After an hour or so, they said, we are still here. I said, yes. And they said, okay. They started talking. Conversation. And they said, okay, do you have a car? I said, yes. They said, in such a village, tomorrow we're going to be resettling people. If it's possible, you can come and pick us here. And we'll go with you. I got a piece of land. That piece of land is Canaan.
Amen.
That piece of land is Canaan. Far better than the one that I was crying for. I'm telling you, this place is just 40 kilometers from Bulawayo. The one that I was crying for is 81 kilometers along Victoria Falls Road. And then after that, you take about 10 kilometers, that's the road. No car, no bus. But the one where I'm staying now, I take 30 minutes from Bulawayo to my place. I don't have 2-3 goats. I don't have 2-3 cows. I have cows. Sometimes when we're giving this testimony, someone says, Mr. Ndiweni is coming here to show off. There is no show off. I am telling you that when God closes one door, He opens another. Keep trying to open the door that has been closed. Look and see a door that is open. This is our God that we serve. My title of my sermon is, I want to say it in the very first. Okulungiselele wena. Okulungiselele wena. Uyobuya nobila ngalitshona. Why do you say ngitshona? Can you say it, my brother? Yeah. Yeah. What has been prepared for you will come even when the sun is set. When it's dark, it's going to come. That's the God that we serve. There's someone who's saying here, who's down to say, why is he talking about his personal testimony? It is not biblical. Can I just open a few verses? Revelation 12, verse 11. It says they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Psalm 66, verse 16. Come and hear all who fear God. Let me tell you me tell you what he has done for me. First Peter 3 verse 15. It says, always be prepared. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone that asks you. To give the reason for the hope that you have. And be ready to share your personal testimony. Last one, John 15, in case someone is still down. And you also must testify. For you have been with me from the beginning. It is okay to talk about Daniel, Abednego, Meshach, and all the like. It is okay to talk about Job and Joseph. But I believe that personal testimonies are the best way of preaching. Because I know there's someone here who has so many problems. And by hearing your testimony, you say, if Mr. Ndiweni is still alive, I can also be alive. Because I told these young ones that I don't know how many times I failed in school. I don't remember being given a prize. But today I stand here as a teacher. Why are you giving up? The importance of just give a few reasons why testimonies are important. And make your message to be genuine. They illustrate biblical truth in a way that is accessible and relevant to the congregation everyday life. Personal testimonies can inspire and encourage others. Personal testimony serves as a form of evangelism, showcasing faith in action. God does not deliver you for your own benefit. When God delivers you, He wants you to grow spiritually. But He also wants you to serve others. Your testimony becomes your weapon. That gives others hope. Someone needs to hear what you have been through. Someone is on the edge of committing suicide. And your testimony is going to save them. Don't hide your testimony. Shout about your testimony. Preach about your testimony. Show others your scars. You know, the problem that in church we sometimes pretend too much. I wish the church elders would be very authentic. You say, I am a church elder. I am a pastor. But this is what I have gone through. You know, sometimes we pretend to be angels that have fallen from heaven. But we need to tell the truth so that we give hope to these young ones. Your victory isn't a trophy to admire. It is a tool to serve others. I was talking to this other villager. This villager was bitten by a snake while he was in the bush. And then he said, I tried to, it was about, the village, I mean, his home was about 5 or so kilometers. He tried to go back home. But he was saying the leg was getting swollen and swollen. By the time he got home, he was literally rolling. He was not able to talk. His voice was very faint. And then the wife came, and then he just explained to say, I was bitten by a snake. They tried to look for donkeys. In the village where we are, it's about the clinic is about 7 kilometers away. So the transport is there, but not always. So the only transport that is available is donkeys, carts, Scotch carts. Right, so they organize the donkeys. They got him inside. Started going towards the beginning. But he is saying when the donkeys were facing that direction, they started moving like this. And he now was wondering, am I going to arrive alive? In the midst of that confusion, another villager comes driving and says, what is happening? They said, oh, this guy was impeded by snake. He said, sorry, okay, but I'm going this direction. However, because of this man's condition, I will drive toward the clinic. They drove to the clinic. When they go to the clinic, the nurse is there. Asked, what happened? Bitten by a snake. The leg was now swollen. They said, unfortunately, with this kind of condition, we have to go to Bulawai. We can't help you. Then this man said, yes. I started giving up. And then when he said he looked around, he saw a nice gentleman who was just approaching. And then he said, this woman must be Dr. Meta. This man came and found the nurses are there and they don't know what to do. Then he said, what happened? Then he told the story. Then this man opened. He said, open your mouth. Open your eyes. He says, this snake that bites you is a very dangerous snake. You are not supposed to be alive. You are supposed to be dead. Because this snake is highly poisonous. Then he tells us, go and get this injection. They injected the man. And then they gave him something. Drink this. Give me a bed. He says in the morning he was able to walk. In the morning he was able. Where did the doctor come from? Where did the doctor come from? Was it through your power, the power of this man? When you have given up, that's when God appears. When you think now it's over, the doctor appeared from nowhere. This is something that happened, not something that I read about. He was relating this to me. And I said, you are supposed to stay in church. If you are not baptized, go and be baptized now. Because God saved you. Where did this car come from? This person was going a different direction. And he came at the right time. When the donkeys were moving like this. Those who are in the village, they know. The God that we serve. I like Psalms 121 verse 4. The one who watches over Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. When you think God is not there, God is working behind the scenes. I remember also during the war, actually after the war, there was a time when there was what is called 60th Brigade. Those who elders, they know the 60th Brigade. They were really killing those guys. I'm telling you. Right, so they would mount roadblocks. Right? And then everyone said, everyone down. And if you are a man, in serious trouble. So they'll say, women line up this way, this side, or there, this side. Then they said, you 1, 2, 3. You are distant, we are shooting you now. Then this other guy lifts up his head. He says, I'm a teacher. Teacher. Show us that you are a teacher. He tried to look for a red pen. Red pen, nothing. Then he stood with others who were going to begin, shivering like this. After some time, he put his hands in his pocket. This is the man what was telling us this. He says, out of from his pocket, he found a small piece of chalk. A small piece of chalk. He says, I'm a teacher, here's a piece of chalk. I'm a teacher, here's a piece of chalk. They say, pen up motive. Where did the piece of chalk? Your help will come if when the sun is setting. When he was putting that piece of chalk, he didn't even know that is the piece of chalk that was going to save his life. Let me tell you briefly how I got a job in Botswana. I used to stay with a guy who was working here in Botswana. He was actually working in one of the English medium schools. He told me that in Botswana they employ teachers. So I gave him my CV. And then he did the application on my behalf. One time he came and said, no, you got a response, but they are regretting. Then after some years or so, a friend of mine also came beside. I gave him my CV. I said, go and try for me that side. That friend of mine did not take my CV to schools. He just put it away somewhere. When he was going to find work, he was leaving my CV at his place. Go and look for work. This God that we serve. Right. One day, unfortunately, the room where they were living, it caught fire and it burnt. It burnt even their certificates. This friend of mine is saying, he says when the certificates were burnt, he remembered a school where he had taken his CV together with certificates. So he wanted to go to that school to retrieve his certificates and the copies. And then he said, oh, there's a CV for Mr. Ndiweni. Let me take it there as well. He handed over the CV. It was upon that CV that I was called for a job. It took someone's house to burn. What he said, why are you keeping that CV there? Your house is going to burn. And the CV was taken to that place. This is the school where I am working even up to now. How was I caught in the village? In the village, there were no phones by then. 2005, 4, 7, thereabout. To get a SIM card in Zimbabwe, you sell a beast to get network. They don't donate. You sell a cow. How did my wife get a SIM? My wife got a SIM card with Mr. Obed. He was a member of parliament. He attended the meeting. He had the meeting. He just asked, how many teachers are here? It was my wife and the deputy head. Then he said, tomorrow on a Monday, please come to my office. I'll give you Econet SIM cards. It was immediately after buying that, getting that SIM card. and buying the handset. It's a handset. Then I got a call from that CV, which took somebody's house to bed. The British lady who was the principal said, "Are you Mr. Never Ndiweni?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I'm holding your CV here. Come on such a day for an interview." Come for an interview. I came for an interview. When I got interviewed, he said, "I'm sorry. It looks like you are put in upper school. Kind of 5, 6, 7. You did very well in the interview. But for the position that I want, you don't qualify." You know, the situation in Zimbabwe was, the economic situation in Zimbabwe was beginning to shrink. And I was praying to God to say, this is the place that I want to work. I went back home. And then in January 2007, the phone rings again. You know, where we were working, the network was a problem. But when God wanted me, somehow, I got the message. So I come and start in January. I came, I'm still waiting there. This is the God that we are serving. A powerful God. When it is time, my brother, no one will stop you. When it is time for you to get married, not even, you know, in my school, there are certain teachers that will say, "This one, I don't think he's going to get married." Age-wise, it's already gone. I'm telling you, 2 of our members are married. When it is the right time for you to get a job, God is going to line up. Never give up. My brother. You don't need to understand the timing. But you have to trust the one who holds time in his hands. He is not late or ignoring you. You know, when I thought I was being buried by God, little did I know that I was being planted. You know, that's why Exodus 14 verse 13 says. 13 verse 14. Do not be afraid. Stand still. And you will see the deliverance of the Lord. This is what Moses was saying. When Pharaoh's soldiers were coming, on the sides there were mountains, and in front there was the Red Sea. And this is what Moses is saying. Stand still, my brother. The soldiers were being seen carrying spears. The soldiers were being seen carrying spears. And this is what Moses says. The Egyptians that you see today, you will see them no more. He said that when the Egyptians were still visible. Were they not swallowed by the Red Sea? What timing is the best timing? Well, for the Lord. This is the God that we serve. I believe in personal testimony. Because I'm seeing God in my life. This is my last born. The brother, when he was, I think he was just less than a year. we went to town with my wife. You see, because this place was too remote, where I was teaching, we were using bonnets as transport. Bonnets. These big trucks. These trucks were carrying coal from one gate. So these were the former transport that we were using. And when you get to the bus stop, you will now hire a scotch cart. 10 kilometers into the bush before you get home. When we hired this bonnet, when we got out of the bonnet, when we arrived at our destination, my wife forgot the bag full of clothes for our baby. Baby cards, everything was there. You know, by then we're not using what do you call this nowadays? We're using nappies. By then, nowadays they're using what? Pampers. All the nappies were there. We were so devastated when we discovered that the bonnet had gone. Actually, someone said that that bonnet was going to DRC. First of all, going through Zambia to DRC. Meanwhile, our boy did not have any nappies. Not even acting nappies. We had to use old clothes as nappies. We told the church, we prayed about it. You know, that type of where you be crying and praying at the same time. To say, God, can't you see our situation? 1 month silent. And then, I'm telling you something that happened. These are not stories. One day when we were just teaching, normal teaching, a phone rings. My wife is one who received. Are you Nobukosi? My wife is Nobukosi. Yes. I'm phoning from Harare. There's a bag here. There's a bag here. It was left by a driver who was coming from DRC. So he dropped it because when they opened the bag, they discovered that it was there was cards for Edgar's. My wife had an account with Edgar's. Then we told them, no, we are in Bulawayo. That bag moved from Harare to Gweru. Gweru to Bulawayo. My wife went to collect the bag. Everything was intact, including the few notes and dollars which were there. Everything was there. That's why I say God is timing is the best. When you are still crying, say, God, why not now? There is a reason why. That's why I'm saying, as a young man, you are under pressure that your colleagues have found jobs. But God does not work because your friends have got a job. It is God's purpose that prevails. Not your purpose. Not your pressure. Not your age. So, Jitimala. Cool down, young man. Cool down, young woman. God's timing is the best. They might be asking you, where is your husband or where is your friend? How old? You are now 30-something years old. All your age are now are married. Wait until the Lord. This world is being controlled by God. And God's timing is the best. Right. Can I just end by this one? These few verses. Then I end. 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9 says, he says, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. My power is made perfect in your weaknesses. I talked about Edson, who failed several times. Michael Jordan also says he failed many times. But that is exactly what made him successful. That's exactly what made him to be successful. So if your situation is not desperate, because the Bible says, when everything else is said and done, all things work for good for those who trust the Lord. May God bless you, young men, young women, brothers and sisters. I know there are so many problems that we are facing in this world. Whether young or old, challenges are there. Challenges are there. When I arrived, I was told that I should have gone somewhere or Liberia, something happened. As I stand here, I don't know how many of my relatives need to be buried. We received several messages during the week. But even if it's like that, God is with us. Let's never lose hope. I hope these few testimonies help somebody. May God bless us. Amen.